accredited to train nurses to reduce their intake by up to 60% this year. Senior Minister Ya Osafo-Marfo has denied that he said categorically that government will lay off workers. And later in business, officials of Menzgold Company Limited deny reports that the company takes deposits from customers. We'll also be taking you to Kenya, where the opposition presidential candidate Raila Odinga rejects the early results from Tuesday's vote, indicating a strong lead for President Uhuru Kenyatta. We have details of all these stories and more, including business, sports, entertainment, all lined up for you. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with TV3. This is Midday Live. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's start from the health sector now. Private and public institutions accredited to train nurses in Ghana will reduce their intake by almost 1,600 this year. This follows a directive from the Nursing and Midwifery Council to the 75 accredited institutions training nurses in Ghana, including private ones, to admit students in accordance with an earlier discussion. The directive was contained in a circular issued by the council and signed by its registrar, Felix Nyante. The hardest hit by the reduction in admission figures are the public nursing training colleges and the universities offering nursing, where the cut in admissions figures ranging from 10 to more than 100 in some schools. Last year, 7,335 students were admitted to the various institutions, but the number will reduce to 5,737 when the directive is implemented fully. All right, so we just want to summarize all of this for you in very simple terms. What do these figures mean? It means that effective the academic year 2017, that's actually from September, I'm sure, the figures are going to reduce with regard to the institutions, the various institutions, and how many people they can admit. And it is affecting both the public and the private health institutions. Here they are. So for the likes of Ntotroso College of Nursing, previously, or the last academic year, they admitted 235 students. Now, they are going to admit just 82. For the Dunkornofin Nursing and Midwifery Training College, last academic year was 250. This year, they have been ordered to admit just 109. Kolebu Nursing and Midwifery Training College, from 245, they are now going to take only 157. And then also, when you look at the Tamale Nursing Training College, they are also cutting theirs from 210 last year to 111, and that's a public institution. The list of public institutions continue, and you'd see that the Keta Nursing and Midwifery Training College, last academic year was 137. Now they are going to take just 77, which is actually even less than 100. Then when you go to Cape Coast Nursing Training College, from 229, they have been mandated now to take only 91. And also the University of Development Studies, UDS, their health institution is going to be taking 97 from a previous 123. Let's look at the hardest hit private institutions. The hardest hit private institutions. We have the Pentecost University from 96. Now they can only take 35. Garden City University from 59. They are now going to take only 35. And Central University from 68 in the previous academic year, they are going to take only 56 from the next academic year, likely to be just next month. So these are the figures that are, making the rounds that we have on authority from the institution that gave the mandate. And we just want to at least put some better perspective on all of this for you. We've been joined in studio by Kweku Asante Krobia. He's the president of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, and we want to at least understand why the need for this. Is it just in line with government's decision to at least pay nurses their allowances, for which reason they are reducing the intakes? Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right, to start with, help us understand what's the reasoning behind this directive that effective next academic year, nursing institutions should cut down their intakes.
Right, thank you very much. It is all about regulation. So the various health training institutions in Ghana would be requested to train according to the infrastructural capacity that they have, be it physical or human resource. So it is not about anybody thinking that there is any sinister motion behind.
No, but that raises a big question. If you're talking about their capability, both human and infrastructure, then what was happening in previous years, at least for just last academic year, we knew that some institutions were taking as much as 190 something, but now they are going to take less. So where do you position this issue of infrastructure or human capability?
Well, that should inform you that we're having problems with institutions taking in large numbers and not being able to manage them well. So it turned out to be, from observations within the last 3-4 years, that the various, even the centers of their training, clinical training, were not able to handle or manage the preceptorship aspect of the students. So it's just simple. We were having problems with that, and now we are going these lines. So we'll be able to help the institutions better to train what they can manage.
So if I'm getting what you're saying, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Council Association believes that there is a problem with the quality that is churned out from the institutions, because there are so many people, they don't get the requisite training, for which reason you think that when they reduce it, they can pay attention to them. Is that it?
That is primarily the reason why we're going to do this. And you see, the ministry has taken this decision with stakeholder involvement. It was not just a decision that the minister got up to take. The Nursing and Midwifery Council, as you have rightly put across, is supporting this idea. They are fronting this idea. So it was a discussion between the Ministry of Health and the other stakeholders, i.e. Nursing and Midwifery Council, the Nursing and Midwifery Association.
Some of the institutions that didn't want to, show their faces or names, said that they had concerns about this directive because, according to them, they have the capacity, both human and infrastructural, to admit and give the adequate tuition. So where does this lie? Because was it all? Because you're saying that all the 57 institutions, all of them, but some said they can't. So how do you rank it?
I guess you are talking about the private health training institutions. If it is about the public, it is the Ministry of Health that owns these institutions. And it's the Ministry of Health that resources these health training institutions. If the ministry comes out to say that we have a challenge, then that reflects the true situation. With the health training institutions, the private, you know that apart from the good things that they are doing, producing the human resource materials, they are also in for profits. So this will definitely
we've been joined by Robert Kujo. He's the Public Relations Officer for the Health Ministry. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Kujo. Hello, Mr. Kujo.
Hello.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining TV3. My first question would be, following recent agitations by nurses who've not been posted, both especially the private ones, many are saying that government took this decision because you're unable to absorb these nurses, absorb them into, either government institutions or private institutions, for which reason you guys have issued this directive of a reduction. Could that be true?
There's no linkage in this sense.
There is no linkage?
Yeah, if I should substantiate this, let me say, first and foremost, that as a nation, we should embrace ourselves to see a lot of changes in the way we do things as a nation. We've been taking so many things for granted for too long a time. It's now time for us to do things right. I think this quota that people are raising concern about, I think it's the right thing to do at this moment of our national life. We have some health training institutions, hospitals and all that. We need to train and we need to recruit people to work in these facilities. But there is a need for us as a people going forward to regulate, also to have in place planned, analyzed HR policy, so that whatever we do will be in line with whatever we intend achieving. For example, if we want a certain number of health professionals, probably in 2020, we should work towards achieving that goal. So over the years, we have ignored some of these scientific ways of doing things.
Okay.
And going the way we want by just training for the sake of training. But
Mr. Kujo,
yeah.
If you just indulge me, certainly following the directive, there have been debates generally and quite widely in the media. Some have also questioned why this time, because they say because the current administration is saying that they want to pay allowances, they want to reduce the numbers so they can pay these people. Is there any validity in that?
No, that is not true. If you read the graphic very well, I responded in there. There's no connection with the allowance.
All right.
And the reduction
and how then do you answer to the fact that the nurse to patient ratio in Ghana is almost half of what the World Health Organization has recommended, which is 40,000 to 100,000 patients. But Ghana, we are told that as of June last year, it was about this year 22,000 to 100,000. How do we fill this gap if we are reducing intake?
Well, that is true, but you compare Ghana and most of the African countries, we have done even much better.
But we are not doing a comparison here. We are looking at how we can help Ghana's health sector, not comparing it to another country.
I'm making a statement, my brother. Even this ratio you talk about, we are not supposed to meet it in a year. So there is the need for us as a people to find better ways of handling this issue. You remember last year and other past years, there were media reports of some health training institutions whose students were taking notes from the corridors. Is that what we need? When we go this way, then we are compromising quality with quantity.
Okay.
Right. You see, we have to do what you call HR planning and analysis. This one has not been done for some time. Even though some resemblance happened, it wasn't that deep. But this time around, we thought it wise to engage some consultants, and we are using a software which, based on certain key indicators, we are able to give quotas to the various training institutions. For example,
Mr. Kujo, at least the answer we wanted, you've been able to succinctly give to us. We are grateful for your time and the clarity you've brought to this issue. Robert Kujo is the Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Health. Let's come in studio and wrap this up. Kweku Asante Krobia is the President of the Ghana Registered and Midwives. Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. We want to find out, does this guarantee that the numbers that would graduate are assured of placements, jobs? Does that also come into this context?
Well, that is a decision government has to take, but I can promise you it will come about because the Professional Association has over a period of time working with government in analyzing the situation and finding out the truth and putting it out that we need to considerably bridge the nurse-patient ratio gap. And so there mustn't be a situation where we produce graduate nurses and midwives and then they will be sitting at home without jobs.
How about the exporting of our trained nurses concept? Has it been considered at all?
Well, it is something that is being discussed now, but the position of the association is that we will not support it until we have adequate numbers taking care of our people at home, because it will be morally incorrect to have to live with this deficit, and yet when we produce, we send them out.
Okay. And finally, we are also told that this directive is just for a period of time, and based on the outcome, there is a possibility of it being reviewed where maybe quotas can be increased again. Is that true?
Yeah, it will all depend on the outcome of this. This is not a knee-jerk reaction at all. It is a process, and I've been discussing this with people from where we sit, that it is a pragmatic measure to ensure that those we produce are of quality. We're talking about a profession here.
Right.
And so it's not just about people wanting to do nursing, they aren't getting it, and so we must open the floodgates. We won't do that.
Okay. Thank you so much for making time to speak to us. Kweku Asante Krobia is the president of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. It's a council, rather, right? It's a council.
Association.
It's an association. Okay. And we'll see how this story unfolds. Certainly, reactions are coming in thick and fast. We'll keep an eye on it and then keep you posted here on TV3. This is still Midday Live. Let's shift our attention to some other studio stories now. And speaking at the Ghana Economic Forum on Monday, Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo said the public sector was full and government might even consider laying off workers. He said this was part of a paradigm shift in the workings of the public service to help restructure the economy.
GDP growth has declined from 14% in 2011 to 3.5% in 2016. There was a deficit of 9.3% of GDP on cash basis and 10.9% on commitment basis against a target of 5% in 2016. Public debt rose from 9.5 billion cedis, representing 33% of GDP in 2008, to about 122.3 billion cedis, representing 73.1% of GDP by the end of 2016. Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo says some public office holders should be held responsible for the mismanagement of the economy.
People should suffer for breaking such economic rules. We have the Bank of Ghana Act, which says that the government should not spend more than 10% in excess of the previous year's revenue. This is a law in Ghana. The government spends 42% above the previous year's revenue and nothing happens. The governor continues to hold his job.
He hinted on a new fiscal responsibility law, adding that government's economic management philosophy has at its heart the private sector as the engine of growth.
Let us resolve to get the economy resolved once and for all. Let us remove this tag of irreversibility on our head, that Ghana will do well for some time, and then later we reverse to the bottom, and then we climb again to the top. That cannot do. Once we set on motion and moving, we should make it impossible for any government to reverse a motion.
The senior minister indicated government is embarking on the most comprehensive economic transformational agenda.
This government has decided to focus on 4 major sectors: microeconomic stability and debt sustainability, infrastructure development. The 4th point is agricultural transformation.
The Ghana Economic Forum was on the theme, Building a Ghanaian-owned Economy 60 years after independence.
All right, we're staying on that subject matter because the same senior minister, Asiedu-Dartey, has denied categorically that he said that government will lay off workers at the Ghana Economic Forum in Accra. Speaking exclusively to TV3 at Atwabo in the Western region, he said his comment on the subject was clearly taken out of context.
The civil service take. Ask yourself that question. People should not be hypocritical in these matters. That being the case, we should use the service to provide service to the private sector to expand. You see, if the Registrar General's office is going to open regional, is going to open districts, then you are expanding it, but you are using the expansion to provide service to the private sector. It is the private sector that's coming to register the company. It isn't government that's registering the companies. And therefore, the whole mentality of the public service or the civil service is to support the private sector, is to make sure that the private sector succeeds. It is only when the private sector succeeds that you open up and create more employment. I will say it again and again. You just don't expand the public sector. It's going to provide a service to the private sector. So its expansion depends on the success of the private sector. So the success of the private sector is the one that will expand the public sector. It's not the reverse.
So the political capital that's being made out of your statement is not correct?
It's not correct. People don't understand how the whole thing works. Look, if we decide to open a district passport office in every district, wouldn't you require more people? Whom are you serving? You are serving the private sector. People who are coming for passports are not in the public sector, it's the private sector. So it is the expansion of the private sector that will create extra room in the public sector.
Would people be laid off?
Certainly not. If you are going to provide service and you are going to expand that service, and you don't have an answer, people even don't feel happy when other people are making money. And that's a mentality I want people to take off from their head. That when your fellow Ghanaian is making money from the private sector, support him to make the money. Because it is his expansion, it is his success that is going to make you expand.
And that's Senior Minister Asiedu-Dartey. Now, he says he's clarified that statement. We've been joined by Joshua Ansah. He is the Deputy Secretary General for the Trade Union Congress. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, sir.
Does the explanation given by the Senior Minister put to rest these fears that there was a possibility of some layoffs in the public sector especially?
Thank you very much for that question. I believe that the statement of from the Senior Minister to actually lay off people because they are more than what they expected in the public service did not go down with us as the leadership of the Trade Union Congress. And I believe that the government, or for that matter, whoever is in charge, should ensure that they do everything within their powers to retain and maintain the existing workforce, if it is not even possible for them to engage new ones, as said by the Senior Minister.
And at what point do you think this can be done? Clearly, government is hard-pressed. The Senior Minister mentioned that the public sector is full, so there is a possibility of a reduction in employment, or probably they may not employ at all. Mm-hmm. But he's asking that we help grow up private sector. How do you understand this too?
Yeah, really, he actually put up some analysis that when he was the education minister, there was only two public universities and about 20. Now the number has risen to 70 private universities and 20 plus public universities. And that adds up to the army of graduates that comes out every year. And looking at our situation now, it's not possible for the public sector, which has no expansion, to actually employ new people. But he is actually advocating that government does everything within its powers to create the enabling environment for the private sector
to expand and become active so that they can absorb this army of graduates who comes out every year.
And for the public sector, what do you advise as a key stakeholder to be done to at least help expand the private sector?
Yes, I believe that at the moment there are a lot of bottlenecks in the operations of the private sector operations. One is energy. If energy becomes very continuous supply, the private sector will have a space in actually expanding their production. If infrastructure is also put in place, the private sector will have a space to also expand their business.
Right.
It's government responsibility as a chief employer to employ. So if he's not able to do that, he should do everything to help those who can actually help him achieve that objective. And I believe that government can do it. It's not beyond government. He must do everything within his power to actually do that, engage the private sector so that they can expand their business to absorb the army of graduates who are not getting jobs to do.
Okay. Mr. Ansah, we'll have to leave it here for now, but thank you very much for speaking to this issue. Joshua Ansah is Deputy Secretary General for the Trades Union Congress. Let's stay on issues regarding work, and President Akufo-Addo says small-scale mining is a sole reserve of Ghanaian citizens and not foreigners. Speaking at Takwa on the second day of his 3-day tour of the Western region, the president assured the people that government will strengthen the small-scale industry through the multilateral integrated mining project.
According to President Akufo-Addo, the Multilateral Mining Integrated Project, MMIP, will be the first holistic approach in combating illegal mining in Ghana. The project, he said, will reduce illegal small-scale mining to the barest minimum and find alternative livelihoods for those involved. He stressed that the laws of Ghana indicate that citizens and not foreigners are the only ones allowed to engage in small-scale mining. He therefore urged Ghanaians not to act as frontmen for foreigners in activities solely reserved for Ghanaians.
Ghana brand says small-scale mining. Ghana for the 2 years it is not for X, Y, Z or other foreigners. It is meant for Ghanaians to do the small-scale mining. We don't have Ghanaians being used as frontmen by foreigners to do an activity reserved solely for Ghanaians.
President Akufo-Addo also urged residents of Takwa to ignore the propaganda making rounds that he intends abolishing mining, stressing that the only form of mining he is against is illegal mining, also known as galamsey.
Kagana, Gold Coast, your friend the Gold Coast. You're not going to permit mining in a country that was known as Gold Coast. It's not possible. It is not possible. But what is possible? And you see, she said, Papa, bebe fa, ama the enya wohono, ya chua no actually, ama papa e wohono, yet me aye ama no so abwaye.
The president also assured residents of Takwa about government determination to revive the Bonsat Tie factory and the Abosso glass factory so as to create jobs and wealth for the people.
All private security companies would soon use only 2 sets of standardized uniforms in the country. The Director General of Private Security Directorate at the Police Headquarters, DCOP Paul Manley Awini, told TV3 the proposal, which is in an advanced stage, is to regularize operations and reduce conflicts associated with uniforms.
217 private security companies have currently registered and are in good standing according to available data at the Ministry of Interior. There are scores of others operating illegally or have registered but are not in good standing. All these companies together have their own choice of uniforms, which sometimes contravene the laws setting up private security. The uniforms bear resemblance to that of the police, military and other state security services. These, the police contend, undermine state security, hence the recent action to clamp down on the practice. Even before the exercise could gather momentum, the police service has come out with a new strategy to permanently deal with the challenge.
We are going to adopt 2 sets of uniforms for all private security organizations in the country. And when this is done, what will happen is that every private security organization in Ghana will now be using only these 2 sets of uniform. So that when you see anybody in that uniform, you know that, yeah, this is a private security operator.
How would the various companies be identified from each other?
The only difference will be the badges that they use, the company logos. That is what will distinguish them from each other. But the uniform color will be the same. And we are almost at the tail end of it. And hopefully, very soon, the Inspector General of Police will officially launch it.
Already, the Association of Private Security Organizations of Ghana, APSOG, has bought into the idea and is collaborating with the police to decide on the 2 set of uniforms. Currently, the 2 bodies have jointly selected white as one of the colors and are yet to agree on the other color.
And leadership of the ruling New Patriotic Party in the Biakuya district have kicked against the proposed nomination of Christy Nutako as the district chief executive. The party claims the lady being speculated as the president's next nominee is a known NDC member and can therefore not serve their interest.
The Biakuya District Assembly 2 weeks ago rejected the president's nominee, Millicent Kabuki Kabu. The development leaves the president with no option than to nominate another person for consideration by the District Assembly. Even as the presidency continues to search for the best candidate, word went wild among the rank and file of the party in the district about the possible nomination of the presiding member, Christy Nutako. The rumor caused anger and agitation among the party members who described Christy as an NDC member. The aggrieved MPP members on Monday organized a media briefing to vent their anger. Spokesperson for the group and an executive member of the party, Bryce Donko, described the development as a stab in the back.
Does it mean that the party in the constituency lacks qualified persons, that they have to fall on a known NDC woman? Or is the president so desperate for a female to be the DC that he's ready to sell the party to our opponent?
The group vowed to defect from the party if their concerns are not addressed to their satisfaction.
The party in the constituency will never be the same again if it turns out that an NDC woman is to become the leader of the MPP in the Biakuya.
They insisted the party deserves better than what is being forced down them.
So that's Biakuya in the Volta region. Let's swing straight to the Ashanti region, where we are told that majority of the 450 police prosecutors across the country who represent the state in court have no background knowledge in law. The Law and Development Institute has instituted a program to train the prosecutors on criminal law. Our Ashanti regional correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar engaged the managing director of the institute, Mark Ofori Amanfo, on this particular issue.
Main objective of offering training, legal training for all the 450 prosecutors across the country?
Yes, the objective is to ensure that we are able to improve on the quality of prosecution in this country that is being handled by the police. So the whole idea is to equip them, improve their capacity so that the number of quality prosecutions that are being executed by them will increase.
But then, before this training, what are some of the loopholes that you identify before even deciding to offering this legal training for them?
Yeah, I must say that this program, which is sponsored by the INL, International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, they found or identified that justice delivery needed some push at that level. The police are doing the work of what the Attorney General, because they have no lawyers all over. But they realized that these people did not have prior knowledge in criminal law or criminal procedures. They just gone on the job based on the letter they go from the police training school. And then they have continued with it. So because of this, for example, a criminal could go to court, get the best of lawyers to free him, and the next time he's on the street. And when people lose confidence in justice delivery system, you know what it means. Then that's where you have all the issues of mob action and all that coming. So there were a lot of problems with the prosecution at that level. And that was why it was necessary to build capacity of all the 450 that then existed in prosecution at the police.
Now, would you say the lack of legal background by some prosecutors has, in one way or the other, led to injustice?
Yeah, I cannot be specific here, but generally, clearly, if a police prosecutor went to court and he was not equipped and he had to go through the processes, definitely there will be some. Of course, there could be examples. I cannot have immediate facts, but I can be sure that definitely there will be some injustice somewhere.
But then should it be even mandatory or compulsory for all?
This is still Midday Live on TV3. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with TV3. This is Midday Live, time to do business. The Institute for Fiscal Studies has indicated that the revised targets in the mid-year budget review are still ambitious and may not be achieved due to the revenue shortfalls. Assessing the budget review, the Institute explained government will need to increase the revenue by 48.3% year-on-year in order to achieve fiscal deficit targets for 2017.
Revenue, including grants, was short of the 20.5 billion cedis target by 3.1 billion cedis, representing a shortfall of 14.9%. Revenue collected was 8.6% against a total of 10.1% as a ratio to GDP. The Director of Research of the Institute, Dr. John Kwachi, stated the poor revenue performance is reflected in almost all the revenue lines.
To achieve the new target will require revenue to increase by as much as 48.3% year-on-year in the second half of 2017. Of course, we recognize the potential for higher revenue performance in the second half of the year, but a jump of 48.3% year-on-year seems quite unrealistic.
The weak revenue performance prompted a sharp reduction in expenditure of 4.6 billion cedis, representing 16.7% more than revenue shortfall. The reduction in expenditure was spread across all the major components. Projected total expenditure has been reduced from 58.1 billion cedis to 55.9 billion cedis. The Executive Director of IFS, Professor Newman Kwejo Kusi, is of the view that expenditure cuts should not restrict economic growth drivers.
The reason why the revenues are falling is because the economy is not growing strong enough for you to be able to get more revenue. So when you come back to the other side about the expenditure, and you go and you cut capital expenditure, then the effect is that you are actually undermining the growth potential of the economy. And therefore, you are undermining your revenue mobilization potential.
The Institute for Fiscal Studies indicated the slow growth of the non-oil sector was worrisome. An economist, Dr. Said Boache, urged government to increase capital expenditure.
An option we are arguing is that the government could allow the deficit ratio to go up a little bit so that the consolidation path is slowed down. Because here is the case, there's not so much flexibility in the budget. And because you are having a strict deficit target, this expenditure, are suffering seriously.
The Institute called for aggressive revenue mobilization drive to strengthen management and compliance.
So that will be it for Business on Midday Live. When we return, we'll be going straight to Kenya to find out what's happening after votes closed yesterday. Stay with us. This is still Midday Live on TV3, and we're going continental now, straight to Kenya, where Kenyan opposition presidential candidate Raila Odinga has said the Electoral Commission's IT system has been hacked to manipulate the election results. He rejected early results from Tuesday's votes, indicating a strong lead for President Uhuru Kenyatta. Kenya's election chief, Wafula Chebukati, said that he had confidence in the system, but the claims would be investigated. Many fear a repeat of the violent clashes after disputed elections 10 years ago, and there have been calls for calm. More than 1,100 Kenyans died and 600,000 were displaced following the 2007 votes. So electoral officials say that 91% of results in Mr. Kenyatta has placed Mr. Kenyatta in a lead, and which is about 54.5%. But Mr. Raila Odinga is hovering around 44.6%. Let's join our Kenyan correspondent, Emmanuel Yengon. He's a freelance journalist, and will be helping us find out what's happening right now in the Democratic Republic of Kenya, at least almost 24 hours after polls closed. Emmanuel, good afternoon. If you can hear me, what's happening in Kenya as we speak?
Good afternoon. Right now in the country, the results are still trickling in, but at some point there has been an issue between the National Super Alliance leader Raila Odinga and the Independent Boundaries and Electoral Commission on the issues surrounding the validity of the results that are streaming in on the public portal that was provided by the IEBC. And we've seen the meetings that have been held at the National Tallying Center at the Bomas of Kenya to discuss the matters to do with the relaying of the results. And there seems to be an issue with the relaying of the results itself. And some of the presidential candidates, including Raila Odinga, have cast doubts on the results. And earlier today, Raila Odinga said that the system could have been hacked to, direct the way the results are coming in favor of the president. But the commission has since come out clear to say that no one has hacked the system, and if there are any cases that the system has been hacked, then they are going to conduct investigations.
Okay.
Yes.
What we will do is we will certainly be coming back to you subsequently in the day to see when the final results will be announced. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Yengon. He is our Kenyan correspondent, joining us live from Kenya via Skype with an update of the elections there, which has, drawn international attention. We hope that it all ends sweet and perfect. This is still Midday Live on TV3, and what we keep doing and keep telling you is the fact that we are not only local, but we are global as well. And what we'll be bringing to you now is sports with Yao Ofosulabi.
Segment is brought to you by
It's time now for sports here on Midday Live. My name is Yao Fusulabi, and on to our first story now. The local Black Stars will depart for Ouagadougou today to engage the local Stallions of Burkina Faso in the first leg of the 2018 CHAN qualifiers. 28 players have been invited to camp as they look to continue their preparation towards the WAFU tournament and the CHAN qualifiers ahead of their crucial qualifier. Head coach of the side, Maxwell Konedu, and some other players have shared their sentiments and hope the tireless preparation will bring them victory.
The boys are doing their best. We are very confident, but we also need to know that we're going to play against a very strong opponent. So we respect our opponent, but we are confident we can always win, even away from home. But just that we also have to know that Burkina is also a very, very good side. So we are going to tread cautiously.
It will be a tough game, but with the kind of training, the preparation and everything, I think we can go there and then win the game. You know, we have experienced coaches, so they being part of us alone helps us a lot to do what we want to do.
I think Burkina Faso, they are also a football nation. They have been playing well for a couple of years. Then I think Ghana also, you know, so we prepare hard and go and face them.
To our second story now, an English side Birmingham City have offered €8 million to Torino for their Ghanaian midfielder Efriye Akwa. The championship side tabled the offer late on Tuesday night as they seek to grab the player to shore up their midfield. The Italian top flight side is considering the offer from Birmingham as they seek to maximize the revenue if they decide to sell the 25-year-old. Coach Harry Redknapp has turned to another Ghanaian just 1 week after Emmanuel Ajimanbedu snubbed his offer to move to Turkey and sign for Bursaspor.
Thank you very much for staying with TV3. Let's go on to some other stories now. Menzgold Company Limited, an investment company, has denied reports that the company takes deposits from customers. Our correspondent Nanekia Mensa Brampa is with them for an update.
Of the company still going about their normal business. Workers there also going about their normal business, despite a caution from a governor of a central bank, Dr. Johnson Isiama, yesterday at the parliamentary Public Accounts Committee meeting there, cautioning the public not to transact any banking business with the company because they are not licensed to deal in money matters. Well, the latest on the issue is that the legal team of Men's Bank is meeting with officials of a central bank to make sure that they discuss the matters arising to come to an amicable solution. A press conference was organized by Men's Bank to address the media, but it has been put on hold as the legal team is meeting. So we will still keep our eyes and ears on the ground. But meanwhile, we want you to know that business activity is briskly ongoing here. From Men's Bank Jolu, I am Nanekia Mensa Abrampa reporting for TV3.
All right, so and certainly in our subsequent bulletins, we'll keep you posted on that. Time now for entertainment news. All right, so we've compiled a number of entertainment stories for you. Watch this.
Kumawood actress Mami Sewa says her relationship with her colleague actors ends on set. The 18-year-old, who has been in the limelight for a couple of years, said she has respect for her fellow actors who are mostly older than her, but do not extend the relationship off the set.
We are all one big family when we are on set, but I don't really chat with them when I'm not on set or maybe when I'm in the house, no. But when we are on set, I have to give them that respect.
Though her career has been on the rise, Sewa hopes to extend her act outside of her comfort zone. She told TV3 Entertainment she's opened to new adventures so far as the script is in line with her personality and what she believes in. She explained further that her new management has plans to explore and fully utilize her God-given talent to the best of her ability. The high school graduate says she's embarking on a project that will sensitize the youth to make education a priority.
The Girl Child Talk is about, I want to promote or I want to advise the girls of today to go to school because that's their only priority.
Regardless of the fame and everything that comes with it, she says she still has her eyes on the prize, which is to continue her education.
All right, so that's it for entertainment and that's it for the bulletin as well. It was live from our studio here at Adesanwe. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Visit 3news.com for more news. Do have a good afternoon. As always, stay positive. Bye for now.